enjoy a panel session coming up, and that's going to be led by Dr. Ali Soofastaei. I think I've got the name more or less right. Ali will forgive me, I'm sure, but the title of this is Addressing and Solving Technology Implementation Challenges. Now, Ali is a very experienced guy. He's currently the AI sort of program lead for Vale, but he also is a very published guy. He's done a lot of papers. He worked in research for an extensive period, consulting with a number of companies on all sorts of projects, and then is now sitting within a mining company doing a lot of work. So he's a very experienced guy, and not only is he going to be leading this panel, but after our afternoon break, he's also going to bring us a case study of one of the pieces of work that can bring us some thoughts. So Ali, let me bring you up and welcome your team and let you introduce them. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you so much all guys for attending this session. I'm so excited to introduce the panelists. We will have the good combination of the people from vendor side, from client, from technology developers, and I really like to invite Don Smith from Temps Minerals, Marcus Lake from Phoenix Mining Technologies, Udit Poddar from Work on Grid, and Ange Bell from Gold Mining Solutions. All right, thank you so much. Thank you. So today I want to talk about collaboration, and also we want to talk about the technology implementation in mining. But before starting, I'd really like to ask you guys first to introduce yourself and talk about your experience and background in this area, and we will continue discussion.
Sure, I'm what's loud? Don Smith from Tempest Minerals. I'm a geologist by trade. I've worked on every continent except Antarctica, working on that still. Ever since child, I've been super fascinated by technology and how I can make things better in my life and in my work from it. So pretty excited to be here to be part of the chat on that here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John, and thanks for joining us today. Chris?
Hello, I'm Marcus Lake. I'm the Managing Director of Phoenix Mining Technologies. My company represents technology companies within the mining space. Currently, I represent Boxscan for Geotech. They're a UK-based outfit with 25 years' experience. I also work with my old company, Olympus, which is now Evident, and another company called Portable Parts Per Billion out of Perth. Very excited to talk about our technology today and how we work with as a team here with all of these guys.
Perfect.
Thanks, Marcus. I'm Udit Poddar, and I am founder of a startup called Grid. I'm an economist by education and data scientist by trade. So I've worked on model management, model development, and data science problems across healthcare, agriculture, and manufacturing and mining. And right now, work on digital transformation side, which is like, the stage one, converting paper into digital applications using a no-code platform that we've built in-house. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Ange Bell. I work for Gold Mining Solutions. We're a consulting firm providing support services to the mining industry, basically. Been working in admin for 25 years. This is a new style of working for many people, including me, and it's really exciting to see how the company works in collaboration with other, like these guys here.
Perfect. I told you we have a great panel here. So let's just start about the collaboration. Don, collaboration is a big word, okay? Can be defined as a say hello, or sending an email, or a big governmental agreement between two countries, etc. But we are talking about collaboration in mining. I want to ask you, what's the exact definition of collaboration in your mind? And if you have any examples of effective collaboration, could you please share with us?
Sure, you're right, that is a very broad question. Collaboration definition for me, and I'm sure it'll probably vary among everyone in the room, for me, it's synonymous with project management. So I think they're one and the same thing. I think there could be a big equal sign there between them. In fact, my presentation tomorrow will have that in it. A good example of that is what we're doing here. So earlier today we saw a panel discussion on, and there was a lot of talk on the difference between a vendor and a strategic partner. And me as the end user of a whole bunch of stuff, I've got 3 strategic partners here with me today, and I think we're going to talk about the amazing way that we've been collaborating and doing some very cool things.
Oh, perfect. Marcus, so you agree? Do you agree with Don, or you can define the collaboration in different angles?
So as the vendor of this group, or one of the vendors, because Udit's also a vendor, but a different type of vendor, as the hardware vendor on this panel. Yeah, I mean, our success with Olympus getting PXRF synonymous across the world was collaborating with industry and, really putting in the hands of scientists and getting feedback on what needs to be done in the scientific papers. What we can see here, collaboration on our vendor side and going from that success into box scan now, we want to be part of the industry. That's how we achieved success before. Hence, partners such as Don with Tempest and Golds, and now with Udit with the digitalization part of it. That's one part of it. We get fed back, and then I feed it back to the manufacturer, Geotech, and if they want us to build it, we'll build it. We have those in-house capabilities. So that's one part of it. For you, Dr. Ali, we've got people embedded in your project in Belo Horizonte, digitizing your iron ore core. We're doing a copper porphyry ML model, edge product for Xanadu mines in Mongolia. And on the hardware side, we're also working with Gold Road on automation. So when the exploration geologists knock off after their 12-hour shift, they can feed it all up and they can press the button, come back in the morning, the boxes are run. So collaboration from our side is, being in the industry and getting fed back from the likes of Don and Angela what needs to be done and what needs to be built to make the product better in the future.
Perfect. Thank you so much for promoting my company and the partner. So effective collaboration. So, Udit, I know that you are technology developer. You are making different machine learning or AI applications for mining, and your major is exactly related to the name of this conference, digitalization in mining. So, what's the definition of collaboration?
So I'm going to talk about internal collaboration, team collaboration, because also running a tech startup means collaborating between multiple functional teams. So on the front end side, on the back end, and there's so much going on all the time. And I think I would agree to what Don said earlier, which means collaboration is equal to project management. And I look it more from a way of from a task-based collaboration rather than interactive and interactions or communication-based collaboration within teams, right? So, so for me, I think internal collaboration between teams means visibility on what each team is doing and what are the dependencies across different teams and how you can resolve it without having to find a task or without having to go to someone saying what is the blockage there? So which means connecting different tools together, tools that are used by different functional teams, and then making sure they interact with each other to create a seamless communication between that team so that people can work on tasks rather than finding out what needs to be done. So yeah.
Perfect. It means that you already divide the collaboration internal collaboration and external collaboration. Yeah. And the internal one is very close to the definition that Don already explained for us.
And external is what I think Marcus also emphasized on.
So, you summarized, I don't know what's the definition of engine, because they already covered.
So for me, it's dealing with people. So it's getting people to work autonomously in an agile workforce where everybody can do the roles that are assigned to them, but there's no need for middle management, and all of their tasks are online. Everybody knows what needs to be done, and you just get on and do what needs to be worked on and prioritise accordingly.
Do you have any specific examples in your mind for effective collaboration?
One of the big things for us is we have no internal emails in the organisation. So everything is via chat and live documents. We use Atlassian products, so Jira and Confluence. Confluence is pretty much our knowledge base. Jira is our day-to-day tasks and our workload.
I see. Beautiful. Thank you.
If you don't mind me jumping in, I'll give you another example. All four of us have our phone open right now, and we've all got a Google Doc which we're sharing, and our notes which we've been collaborating on all week on. So no emails, no versions, one document, and we're all using it together on stage here together. So
Exactly.
that's collaboration.
Perfect, perfect. So, Don, the collaboration in general is a positive word. And when we talk about collaboration, some good thing is coming to our mind. But definitely, we are facing with some roadblockers when we want to talk about collaboration. What do you think about the roadblockers in collaboration? Especially if you can just narrow down the discussion to the mining, it would be better.
Specifically in the mining industry, one of them is I think poor choices in communication method, and Angie's alluded to my favourite one already, email. I think that comes partially because of silos, and in our internal group we have I guess a kind of joking phrase, we call it C driving, from obviously the hard drive on a computer where people aren't sharing anything, they're stored on their own computer, and I think in mining that's endemic. And I think that's definitely one of the biggest roadblocks is people keeping the knowledge and this old view that we have to keep, if I keep all the information to myself, maybe I'll remain useful or relevant or something. And in the modern world that doesn't work. We need to be sharing everything and collaborating. That's how we succeed.
Definitely. This is the point that in the last presentation Mo mentioned, that we need to share the challenges that we have. We need to share the data, and it can help us to have a better collaboration. Marcus, what do you think about the roadblockers?
Yeah, so the roadblocks that I see from my experience, obviously selling XRF, similarly now with core scanning equipment. When I first started with XRF, I remember people were saying this thing doesn't work, and now people wouldn't go to the field without it. Core scanning is fairly new, and the uptake of it is probably not as fast as myself or Don or the people we work together with would like. On the digitization side, yeah, it's just the uptake. This is the way we've done things forever, and this is the way we're going to do things. And I've travelled a lot around, and I've worked with big companies and small companies, and there's a lot of talk about digitization, but is it really happening? Have we really seen the results of it? Luckily for us in the position with BoxScan and the team that we've got here, we're small enough that these guys are implementing it, and it's the ground up. Right, we're coming from the ground up, and Don will probably talk about it more tomorrow. This is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. And then the larger companies say, oh, well, geez, they've been able to do it, how come we haven't been able to do it? And some of these large companies have got, as you know, got huge digitisation teams and transformation teams, and there seems to be a lot of talk about it. So it's just that hesitancy for change. But that's sort of technology. The change is coming. The change is here, as we were talking about outside before. And, the change will come no matter what any of us do. But, it's people like us who are trying to drive the change a bit further, right, along the way.
Okay, that's it. Audit, you're in the front of technology changes based on your company and your role. So what do you think about the roadblockers in collaboration?
So I think one of the biggest roadblocks, which probably will get answered in the next coming years, is the integration capabilities of different systems which are used by different teams, right? Mm-hmm. Because if different platforms, different systems and databases that exist, if they cannot interact with each other, and there's no integration among them, there's always a dependency that gets created in the seamless flow of information within an organization, right? So I think one of the biggest challenges of collaboration is how do you integrate different platforms where people are working, different teams are working, data systems are running, and then how can information flow from one system or one team to the other without a manual intervention right there, right? I think that's one of the major roadblocks, but with modern technology and upcoming tools, probably that's already on a path to get resolved in the near future, yeah. But it also is important that companies start adopting newer tech stack and newer technologies that can then integrate and interact with each other so that information and collaboration can flow within the organizations.
Perfect. Yeah, you mentioned the key points that maybe later we come back again to this challenge that we are facing because it's related to the technology implementation as well. But
correct.
As my experience in Valley is that we are working with the prestigious universities and technology developers, same as IBM, Microsoft, Accenture, Deloitte. We are working every day with them to develop different applications to solve the business problems that they have. But at the end of the day, the integration is a big challenge. And now we had to define a new program named IQM, or Integrated Quality Management, to find how we can make a connection between these separated islands or the previously developed applications that we had.
So for myself, so I work across 3 different business functions on a day-to-day basis that uses 3 different products because they're more relevant to that function, right? And what we've done is we've integrated all of them together. So let's say if a task appears on one, it automatically percolates to the other, saying that, okay, this is what the other team needs to do, right? So the integratability of the platforms and data is very important, and yeah, I think as we're able to resolve it, teams will be able to work in more collaborative manner.
Yes. Thanks. Anji, can we have your idea about the roadblockers when we talk about the collaboration?
One of the biggest roadblocks I see is convincing people to unlearn things. You need to stop what you're doing, unlearn your bad habits, and start again. Lots of people are resistant to change, and then they revert. They will change, they give it a go, and then they revert to their old ways. So people need to change their mindset and not be afraid to learn new ways of working and collaborating. And sharing information, that's another big one, that everyone wants to keep it in their own little pocket because it might come in handy one day. But if everyone was to share their information, it improves everybody's ability to move forward.
Yeah, 100% I agree with you. We are facing with the change the culture in the mining industry, and this revolution, it's very difficult, especially when we want to change something in people and the collaboration with people. So I think your answer could, lead us to the next question that I have, the last question for collaboration. It's about the future of collaboration. We know that we are facing with a lot of challenges and we need to tackle with them, but we are going very fast and technology is growing very fast. Don, what do you think about the future collaboration in mining?
I'll answer that in 2 ways. One is I think that there's too much talk about the future. I think I like to focus on now and making the future now. And certainly I think we're all up here as a quasi team because we're doing the future right now. But in terms of what I'm excited about coming up, I definitely think that things like the metaverse are real game changers. I was an early adopter of Second Life in the early 90s, which many people won't know what that is, but it is basically what the metaverse is now, and that was 30 years ago. So I'm pretty excited about what that can do for society and the mining industry, because if you can feel like we're right here talking to each other as opposed to on a Zoom call or something like that. I mean, I've been using video collaboration and remote working for 10 years. It's not new. But I think if you can feel that you're much closer to someone, if you've got a machine breaks down and the engineer can't fly out there, we've heard people talking about drones and fiber optic cables and stuff already today. What about if they're using the metaverse and they're talking to the person like they're there? And I think that's a big thing for collaboration in the future.
Perfect. You mentioned a great point that we need to think about the current situation that we have, because I'm working on an exciting project named Smart Coaching. And we try to simulate the future that you are using some gadgets to coach you and lead you to do something. So, but it's just a proof of concept that we have in Valley. But it's a little scary. Maybe I asked from Udi this, because in the future collaboration, we don't like to just to talk with robots. But before you, Marcus, what do you think about the future collaboration?
I hope it doesn't turn into Black Mirror, Dr. Ali. But well, as Don said, you know, the future is really here now. You know, Don and we're just providing the systematic, automated data collector that human beings are doing now. But you know, it's the likes of Don and Udit and Anjan teams that are really creating the future. I mean, it's only going to get better and better with more iterative tools online that people can discuss, logging of core and mineralogy. And Don and I have talked about it at length, you know, feeding like data from box scan straight into his micromine or leapfrog systems, creating his geometallurgical models as he's exploring his project. So he knows where to go and drill. Doesn't have to move the drill, he can send the drill off in any direction. So, I mean, that's happening pretty quickly. I mean, I think we'll see that change in the next sort of, you know, 12 to 18 months. It's happening now. So that's where I see it going. And I mean, one only knows how far it can go. I mean, I think it's just going to become more iterative, you know, and then Don with Metaverse and, you know, AI and ML, we're running it on our systems as edge products. But as the old internet speed in the field gets faster and faster, you better use, you know, larger cloud-based algorithms. So, I mean, it's happening now. It's happening at quite a rapid pace.
Yeah, you have a very positive idea about that. But my question, maybe later I will ask you about, but please think about that. You're talking about improving the technology and having, you know, bringing to the new world in mining. But are you mature enough in different companies and different countries to digest this type of the technology? But keep you an answer, and later I will come back to you. Adit, what do you think about the future collaboration? I asked you, we need to talk with robots or not?
No, so I think right now what I see is the need for collaboration in future, especially to increase efficiencies and creating again, using the buzzword here, connected workforce, will mean increased accessibility to technology, right? And as and when more and more people on the site, on the field, get more access to technology, learning and development modules, and various technology access, like various things that are coming up there, that will sort of increase collaboration and will make people more efficient and probably will reduce work hours and workload in getting things faster and faster in a more efficient manner. So yeah, so what I think is it'll increase accessibility to tech because the need for collaboration is there in future, right? So that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good answer. So let's ask the same question from Andrew. What do you think about future collaboration?
Well, for gold specifically, our future is already now. We work in other people's vision that have people who have expressed their ideas today. We're currently working in that environment. So I think the onus is on individuals to stay relevant and basically just constant improvement and development.
Yeah, awesome. So guys, I think it's a good time to turn the discussion to technology. I think it's your favorite topic. So what we start about, but I told me that you can talk one day on technology implementation.
No
but
worries
let's
whatsoever.
try to manage your time. So we know that we need technology to be more effective and reach to some goals that we have in the future, for example, zero injury, zero carbon, etc. But we are facing with a lot of challenges if you want to use the new technology, especially when you talk about the traditional industry, same as mining, and you need to mine in rural areas or in some poor countries, so you cannot allocate the right people to the technology, this type of the challenges. Can you just select the highlighted challenges or technology implementation? And if you have any solution, please share with us.
Okay, a couple of highlights. I mentioned one earlier. It isn't strictly relevant to mining, but I think it is one, I won't use the name, but one of the 4 major banks here in Australia. I had a very disturbing incident a couple of years ago, and we tried to establish what had happened, and we never got an answer, but about a year later I saw the CTO interviewed in the Australia Financial Review, and he expressed his dismay that this bank was running on more than 1,300 independent software systems, and none of them spoke to each other. So I think that got brought up before, the integrating of software together. I mean, that's a big one, and mining's no different. You've got PLCs in a mill that, I mean, made by Honeywell, whoever, and they don't talk to anything else, and you've got geological modeling software. None of these things talk together. I think that's a really, really big one, is the integration of things, and we need to catch up in order to stay relevant. The other one is obviously the resistance. People don't like change. Change management is everything, and that's something that we also need to learn about.
Yeah, you mentioned two main dimensions, and hopefully we can have other dimensions from other panelists, and later we can summarize the challenges. Marcus?
Well, Don talks about the separate systems. I mean, I can only talk from the technology provider side. Our tech, the manufacturers come from oil and gas, and oil and gas companies are very protective of their data. Hence, all of our data is non-proprietary. We don't partner with any database companies or any particular third parties where it goes to. The data can go anywhere it wants. It's all in standard CSV, TIFF, JPEG format. So I can only really discuss it from that angle. I mean, systems have to talk to each other, and that's probably where Udit's software comes into play, right? Great portal, we'll call it, for want of a better word. It's probably wrong. I think it's wrong. He's telling me already. But yeah, to put it all, integrate all these separate systems into a single platform.
Awesome. You already mentioned some challenges about the technology, but can you just add more?
So I think in adoption of technology and digital transformation, one of the biggest challenges is keeping the end user and user adoption, user feedback in the process of development. So what happens is, talking from both the side, right? So let's say digital transformation using, say, digital technologies, mobile applications, and even on the ML side or AI side, right? So by the time the development of a model or a technology happens, external environments change, users change, and there is no feedback that is taken, right? So the most important aspect, I think one of the most important aspects for effective change management, which is again a big reason for failure of digital transformation programs, is to keep the end user's perspective while development happens, take the feedback and then change the process of digital transformation depending upon the end user feedback, right? So we're not developing for 6 months, and then when we go on the field for implementation, we realize things have changed. So I've worked on a lot of ML models as well in the past, and what happens there is, for say 4 or 5 months, we're building model, but then external data changes, right? So then models become irrelevant. So similar in digital transformation. So it's important to keep user feedback and user adoption relevant and take them in loop while building systems. So yeah, if we do that, I think, so that's one of the biggest challenge of digital transformation and adoption of technology, and that can then be taken care of.
Yes,
and yeah, adoption can happen at a deeper.
Ange?
So part of it, for us particularly at Gold, is adapting existing technology and making it work. An example we have is we've built an asset management system using existing technology and working with the software developers to make it work for us the way we want it, but also keep on making changes until everybody understands and everybody's happy with the end product. So bringing in the users, other people who will also be dealing with using that system, and then everybody can contribute to any changes that are required and improvements that are required with it.
Awesome. So guys, if I want to just summarize the digital transformation and challenges that we have, because definitely we have many opportunities. We don't have time to talk about opportunities, but digital transformation is a culture. We don't talk about just technology. We don't talk about data. We don't talk about the people. It's a culture, and we need to change this culture in mining industry if we want to have, machine learning, AI, or any type of the prediction or optimization benefits in this industry. But I have two questions, and we can ask them Michael questions as well. But we are facing with one critical challenge, that is people. Because we don't have the trained people to digest the new technology, because technology is growing very fast. You hired, one day, for example, mine manager 20 years ago, and now he has to work with machine learning or AI, or it's a big challenge. In other side, our universities have not been trained to change their curriculum and having the AI and machine learning, for example, related courses for mine engineers. So people, it's a big challenge for us. Don, what do you think about the training processes for the people who want to use this new technology in mining?
Another excellent question. If you don't mind, I'll take a step back first before I answer that. I think where I'd like to see things go there is in mining in particular. I mentioned the change management being everything. Everyone talks about change management, everyone goes, oh yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to implement this. But what you find when you actually talk to most of the operators who are going to implement these changes is that none of them have ever studied change management. And for example, and I'll talk about it again tomorrow, but the pioneer of change management is Cotter. And I mean, how many people in the room have read his book or any of his books? I mean, it's not going to be many. And it's well-established science. It's not new. And I think if we don't understand how to make change, we're never going to make the change. And education is an excellent example of that. And we need to implement new curriculums into universities as soon as possible. And it sounds like you're on the right track for that. And congratulations, great work.
Thanks, Don. Thank you. Marcus, have you faced with the people's challenge when you want to implement the new technology in mining?
I'd like to make a comment, sort of more of macro view, firstly on that. That I saw Robert Friedland on Bloomberg. He's at that new economies conference in Singapore this week. And, if we look around us, everything that we touch and see and everything in front of us comes from the ground. So mining's not going anywhere. So, I mean, the problem, I think, is, well, it is bigger than that. I mean, we need to change the global view on mining. Mining's going to be cool, because look at it, look around us. Everything comes from mining. If it doesn't come from mining, it comes from agriculture, right? So, as an industry, we need to make mining more cool, saying, look, everything comes from mining. And then the universities then might take note, and then the younger generations might take note, say, oh, mining is cool, instead of then going into, I saw the question before to the previous presenter, instead of going to the Angry Birds or the Ubers of the world to develop the next greatest app, we get that talent pool growing in. So, there has to be a change in the global view on mining, and then it might filter down to schools, universities, and then come back up to us in industry, which we require, because, we've all seen, we all attend conferences around the world, and the shortage of skilled people within our industry, it's coming, it's already here. And if we don't keep digging things out of the ground and mining, we're not going to be able to build conference centres or glasses to drink my water out of, et cetera, et cetera. Right? So I think it's even bigger than that.
Bigger, yeah. Can we have your idea about the people and the training challenge?
So I think, I mean, it is firstly extremely important for curriculums to keep up to pace with technology so that adoption is not as difficult as it sounds or as it seems to be. But I think also there is a big need for a strong focus on internal learning and development tools and documentation systems that can actually help implementation and adoption by people simpler for large organizations. So I think if the focus is on creating a knowledge base or a knowledge pool of how various new technologies can be adopted and can be learned by people, then probably this challenge of people and curriculum can be solved together. Whereas I think it makes sense, and it is absolutely critical for curriculums to keep up to pace with the technology advancement that's happening. So.
Okay, thank you. And you already mentioned something about the people challenge, but I want to just ask about the training or educational processes for the people that we can have in mining. What do you think is the solution, temporary solution, or can have a permanent solution for mining?
I think the biggest, as an employer, as a company, the most important thing is continuous training and development. If we can provide clear, concise information to people on new things that are coming in, it takes the fear away. People are scared of change, and they're resistant to change. So if you can make it easy and comfortable, people will adopt it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So guys, we have two questions. I need one volunteer for each one, and what others can complete the answers. The first question is about the integration. We know that integration is a big challenge for us, for collaboration, for developing the technology or something like that. But the question comes from Michael. He asked about the data mesh as a solution. So what do you think about data mesh?
So I think, so data mesh, data warehousing, lakes, I mean, all the concepts can 100% solve integration problems because you're talking to a central repository of data that defines operations for a company. But I think what can actually solve problem and also bring in more effective collaboration on data is context around that data, right? So we just saw context is king in the last slide, right? So until or unless people have context around the data that exists in the ecosystem of a company, integrations and collaboration both will not be effective. Without context, new people cannot build on things, and if you cannot build on things, then integration and collaboration fails anyways, right?
Definitely.
So,
and I wanted just to add one point here is that data is a potential of power.
Correct.
It's just the fuel. But if, for example, if you share the data for all people in your company, what's the point of that?
Correct.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So we need to change the data to information, to knowledge, to insights, and then to have wisdom. And this is the process that we need to complete in digital transformation. So let's talk about the second question. It's about, they mentioned some companies, same as, for example, Amazon, IBM, or etc., can deliver the fully integrated models, for example, to cover the supply chain. Why mining companies working in this area, why they don't outsource this challenge with the companies same as Amazon or others?
I'll take that one. I don't think there's any necessarily need to outsource, although I'm a big fan of taking new ideas from outside the industry. But my frank answer to this one is I think we've seen a few times seeing the automated exploration to final product model being bandied about, and the question is rephrased sort of the same way, is that why can't mining companies be like factories? And one of the reasons for that is mining has far more variables than a factory, and particularly when it comes to geoscience. You're literally dealing with hundreds and hundreds of variables and uncertainty that's well beyond other disciplines, to be honest. So that's one reason, but that doesn't mean that it can't be done well. And when I was very early in my career, the company I worked for at the time, we pretty much did that. Yeah. So it's very disappointing to me that knowledge seems to have been lost. And one of the reasons for that, I think, is there's been a move away from functional-based management. I apologise, away from spatial-based management to functional-based management. And so if people have a broad knowledge base and know what their entire flow chain is, you start to get that kind of thing. And so, I mean, we talk about the, instant logging of core and then updating the model. I mean, I was doing that as a junior geologist. We'd literally go underground, take measurements, come up, put it into a 3D model, and that would be fed into the real-time resource model, and which was fed into the reserve and into the mine planning on a day-to-day basis. So I'm really passionate about trying to bring that back, and one of the ways to do that is to make people not just little silo, I do this job or I do this job, is they should be aware of the whole chain of what they do, and there's a lot more personal satisfaction in what you do when you do that as well.
Thank you so much. I just had less than 20 seconds, but I promised to ask a question. Marcus, do we have enough maturity in some companies? I'm speaking about prestigious mining companies, okay? For example, Anglo American, Rio Tinto, BHP, to have the similar technology?
It's coming. It has to come. I mean, I refer to that last question and what Don said. There's been a lot of chat about, mining's ripe for disruption, and why hasn't Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk disrupted it yet? And Don and I have talked about this over the campfire at length, and the reason why it is, mining is a people business, comes back to people, and there are too many variables. So the maturity side of it is coming. And I don't think an Elon Musk or a Jeff Bezos are able to disrupt it because of the variables. It's not Uber, right? It's not an app and a driver. It's people doing multiple different jobs and, setting up camps and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's too big to disrupt in that manner. So the maturity has to come from within the companies in order to make it more streamlined and more efficient.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
To this panel. We already had a very good discussions. I really enjoyed. Thank you so much again. Thanks, Don Smith, Marcus Lake, Udit Poddar, and Ange Bell. Thank you so much, and thank you.
It's a great. Thanks, Ali. Well, excellent. Great session there, and I think the one thing we all agree on, collaboration is absolutely crucial to us taking a lot of these ideas forward, but it's not a trivial business. A lot of complexity to actually working together in constructive ways. It is afternoon tea time to go and find a healthy snack, some coffee, all that good stuff. You can ask Don how he did whatever he did to himself as a talking point. And we want to be back here in half an hour, so kicking off again for our final two presentation sessions at 22. And then, as I said earlier, don't forget, hang back for some drinks later. It would be great to have a chat with some of you over a cold beverage. All right, enjoy. Thanks.
One, two, three, four. I love the way it flows, I love the way it grows. There's something in this sound that takes me far. It's like a special song, can move my mood along. What I cannot say, you'll hear through my guitar. She told me at the bass line, and everything will be alright. She told me that the groove is mine, it will take us through the night.